Welcome to the 2020 MLB Stadium Rankings. Today we'll be ranking the top MLB stadiums for the 2020 season. Starting off with number 30, we have the Oakland Coliseum. This stadium was a dual-use stadium, now reserved only for the A's after the Raiders have departed. It is known for being a bowl and being quite an ugly stadium. Some notable things about it: it has quite an expansive foul territory and not really any view because of an expansion called Mount Davis in center field. This stadium can hold a lot of fans, but usually the top sections are tarped. One time they weren't tarped, though, was the 2019 wildcard game, which they played and lost against the Rays, but the stadium was full and can be an electric environment. Speaking of the Rays, let's go on to number 29, which is Tropicana Field, home of the Rays. This place is kind of a very ugly stadium and has some quite ugly turf and some unique ground rules with all the catwalks. A notable feature about this place is the Rays tank in center field. Going on to number 28, we have Guaranteed Rate Field, home of the Chicago White Sox. This place overall is not very nice with the black color scheme and is a pretty bland ballpark to start out with no key features. Moving on to number 27, we've got the Rogers Center, home of the Toronto Blue Jays. This place is similar to the Rays Stadium in that it is a turf field that is kind of aged here with a retractable roof. At least this one has. That's what gives it the edge over that Rays Stadium. If it is open, which it rarely is, there's also a pretty outdated hotel in center field, but that is a notable feature of the ballpark that at least gives it some character. Moving on to number 26, we have Citi Field, home of the Mets. This place is kind of just jam-packed with stuff all over the place and doesn't really have a view of anything from New York, so that's why I've decided to place it here. It's just jam-packed stadium, not very nice at that. A notable feature is the center field apple, which goes up when a Mets player hits a home run. Going on to number 25, we have Miller Park, home of the Brewers. This is an indoor stadium with a retractable roof, but visibly this is just not a very nice stadium. One unique feature, however, is the slide that the mascot rides down when they hit a home run, similar to the Mets with their apple. Going on to number 24, we have Yankee Stadium. This place lacks key features besides their cool monument park in center field, but similar to the Mets, it's a pretty crowded stadium with no real view of the nice New York skyline. Coming in at number 23, we have Comerica Park, which is in Detroit, home of the Tigers. The stadium does have a decently nice skyline view, but it is the Detroit skyline, so it's not actually that nice. A new unique feature of this stadium is that it has one of the last remaining keystones, which is the path between the pitcher's mound and home plate in the MLB. Coming in at number 22, we have the Great American Ballpark, home of the Reds. This place is pretty bland, but it does sit upon the Ohio River, and one other nice feature is the power stacks in right center field. Going on to number 121, we have Chase Field in Arizona, home of the D-backs. This place is another indoor stadium with a retractable roof, but it's pretty much just a large airplane hangar because the roof is almost never open. Don't get me wrong, it is nice when the roof is open, but in Phoenix the weather is so hot that they rarely get to open it. A nice feature in right field is the pool that they have there. Number 20, we have T-Mobile Park in Seattle, home of the Mariners, recently renamed from the Safeco Field. This is a pretty bland stadium as well, although it does have a nice skyline view in left field. Number 19, we've got Kauffman Stadium, which is pretty much just a concrete half bowl here with a decent view, but gets points off because it's pretty far from Kansas City and shares a parking lot with Arrowhead Stadium. But one nice feature is the fountains in right center field. Number 18, we have Fenway Park, which is definitely an aged park, which took away a couple points on this ranking. Some nice features include the Green Monster as well as Pesky Pole in right field. At number 17, we've got Progressive Field, home of the Indians, and this is one of a few stadiums coming up that are just kind of average, getting to the better rankings here, but there's just a couple stadiums that look just like it, and it doesn't have much character. And speaking of one of those, we have Citizens Bank Park at number 16, home of the Phillies. This is a pretty much exact same model, at least inside, as Progressive Field is, but slightly nicer, so that's why it got the edge here at the number 16 spot. Entering the top half here, we have number 15, Nationals Park, which is a pretty nice ballpark with a pretty good skyline as a backdrop to it. Going on to number 14, we have Camden Yards, home of the Orioles. This is a pretty cool ballpark built on top of an old railroad yards, hence the name. Pretty nice design here and a cool warehouse in right field. Moving on to number 13, we have Wrigley Field. This field sometimes has an electric environment, but it's pretty old stadium here. It underwent a much needed renovation a couple years back and has a pretty cool ivy wall as a notable feature in the outfield. Moving on to number 12, we have Angels Stadium, which is the home of the Angels, of course. This is a pretty good stadium with perhaps the most expensive batter's eye in the MLB. But yeah, pretty nice stadium here. And another key feature is in front, they have some hats for the Angels. Moving on to number 11, we've got Target Field. This field was built just about 10 years ago and still holds that opening day charm. Pretty good stadium here with a nice view in right field. Overall, good design, and that earns it the 11th spot. Number 10, we have the controversial Marlins Park, but I really do like the new color scheme that has been brought to this franchise, but what docked it a couple points in my mind was the removal of the home run sculpture and fish tank that used to be there, as well as the nightclub in right field, or left field, sorry. But one cool other feature that they still have is the retractable roof and retractable windows in the back, which create a nice feel to the ballpark. Going on to number 9, we've got Dodger Stadium. This is a pretty nice stadium, blending old and new quite nicely. They're undergoing a renovation, so perhaps in future years they could be higher on this list. Coming in at number 8, we have the brand new Globe Life Field, home of the Rangers. This features the largest retractable roof of any stadium in the MLB and is a pretty nice stadium, brand new, but no real distinctive features besides that roof. Going on to number 7, we've got Truist Park, home of the Atlanta Braves. This stadium is also pretty new, and it is a really nice stadium, but it is docked a couple points because, as I mentioned before, it's kind of similar to Progressive Field and the Phillies Stadium. Going on to number 6, we've got Busch Stadium. This is a really nice stadium with that brick design and a really, really nice view out from center with the skyline pretty much on top of the stadium with that Capitol building and iconic arch. Moving on to number 5, we've got Minute Maid Park in Houston, home of the Astros. This park has many cool features. It's got a nice retractable roof. Some of those features include the train that they have up on the left field wall, and then an old feature that I'll dock it a little bit for removing is Tall's Hill, which is a pretty cool feature. Moving on to number 4, we have Coors Field, which is a really nice ballpark out in Denver, home of the Rockies. This stadium has a couple key features. Number 1 being the nicest bullpens with a little nature scene in the MLB, as well as a row of seats at 5,280 feet, signifying the mile-high city that it is based in. Number 3, we've got PNC Park right in Pittsburgh on the Allegheny River. It's a really nice ballpark, home of the Pirates, with a great skyline view across the river. This is a great ballpark and well deserving of that number 3 spot. At number 2, we've got Oracle Park, very iconic ballpark, also on the waterfront, with a lot of key features, including that Levi's Landing area, Triples Alley, McCovey Cove, as well as the Coke bottle slide and glove in left field. At number 1, the nicest ballpark in the MLB, we've got Petco Park in San Diego, home of the Padres. This is a great stadium, best in the MLB, and has a couple key cool features, including the Western Metal Supply Co. building in left field and the sandbox over in right center, which are unforgettable features. Great climate at this stadium and a great game day environment.